So, welcome to episode 7, my love. Are you excited?
Super.
I'm excited.
Super.
I'm excited. Why? Because I think we are the masters of this topic that we have this week.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah. So, this is episode 7, and we are going to focus on family travel, right? And we have a new segment.
Yes, we do. We have an expedition segment. So let's get into this nitty gritty.
So we have family myths, expedition segment. We have some of the
wine.
best places to go with families, and we have this wine from Napa Valley. Phenomenal episode, people. Make sure to continue watching, like, subscribe, comment. We will appreciate it. So why don't you kick us off? First segment.
All right. So
It's myths of family travel.
I know. I was just.
You don't have my notes?
No, I do not have his notes. So I just want to let you know that ahead of time.
I always throw a little wrench into her scripts.
So we have 4 family myths, and the first one is one that we have a lot to say about, and that is.
Well, I throw the myths. And then you answer the myths.
Okay.
It's episode 7. We still haven't gotten this down yet. But family travel is too expensive, babe.
It can be. It definitely can be. So, and there's reasons why you can avoid it so that it's not as, what would you say? Expensive. But yes, it definitely can be. So we are a blended family. And even though we book things in a year in advance, and I know that seems crazy, but we do, we tend to notice that when we travel that our food expenses come out to be almost the same price as flying in a hotel because we are all eaters and our children especially just love to eat. So we've noticed that it does tend to come out almost the same.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think one of the solutions there for that, babe, usually it's all inclusives, right? So I think cruises are great. You see the notes? You didn't get the notes? The all inclusives. Cruises, right, babe? Cruises are good for that.
Cruises are good because they have the buffet, resorts. Usually in the Caribbean, they have all the all-inclusive and stuff. So that's fun because the kids can eat at whatever they want, whenever they want, whenever they
want to eat. Yeah, that's definitely a way to go.
Not to mention drinks are all-inclusive.
Yes, which you're going to need it.
With kids.
Well, that's a good segue to my second myth. Family travel is stressful.
Spit it out.
I'm getting trauma. I'm getting
having
PTSD. That family travel is too stressful. I think it can be. I'm not gonna lie, but I think pre-planning is the key.
100%. So when I think of stress, I think of all sorts of stuff. I've traveled with a 6-month-old, and we've traveled now all the way up to 21. And it doesn't matter what age group, there's always different stresses that come along with the different ages. So I've traveled internationally with a 6-month-old. Being on the plane is stressful, not to mention everybody around you. And what they're thinking of you, it makes it even more stressful. And the time schedule being a little bit different, especially going to Europe or to other countries, you're going now 6 hours ahead or even behind. So getting those kids on that sleep schedule will help a little bit better before you leave on that trip. And then an age group. So we've noticed with teenagers, we're thinking, oh my God, we're going to go here. We're going to go skiing. Yay. And their response is like,
they're
like, I don't want to travel.
Yeah, it's like if they're reading a book like Moby Dick or something.
Like, why do we have to go anywhere?
I don't understand.
So we've seen that. And then obviously this summer was a little stressful. Our oldest, when we were in Italy, left over to Portugal, and she was flying solo in another country to another country. Yeah. So I'm sure she was having a blast, but we were, tracking her and following her. So that's a little stressful. But it doesn't matter what age, there's always going to be issues that arise. So I think, yes, traveling with kids is very stressful.
Wow. So you agree with that myth?
100%. You're going to tell me there's one part of it?
It is, but I think if you pre-plan and you get everything kind of coordinated, it should be at least alleviate the stress.
Yeah, no, definitely pre-planning is the key. And I do want to say this, we are a blended family. So it's a mine, his, and our situation. We've been dealing with this for 16 years. And so we plan a year in advance, and it has nothing to do with the fact of, one, we like to pay for the trip before we leave. So that takes off a huge stress load. But two, we're dealing with our schedule. We're dealing with my daughter's and her family's schedule, and then his daughter's family schedule. So now we're dealing with 3 different schedules to make our schedule work. So we would often get from our children's other parents saying, "Are you kidding me? I don't even know what I'm doing in a year in advance. Why do you plan a year?" And they would put pressure on us, but not realizing, and it's not just your schedule, it's also the other parents' schedule. And we're just trying to make it all work and gel and to make it right for our family. So yes, that part is super stressful. Like that's a lot. And I'm sure we're not the only family that's out there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think if you plan pace and just kind of even include the kids in the planning phase, I think that
helps.
That helps.
Yeah.
This next one is an interesting one, and I think there's some data to kind of shock you. I think obviously on my notes.
I don't have that data.
You don't have.
I just have the myth.
You have the myth, not the data.
Go for it.
Kids are not going to remember this trip. Like kids don't remember the trips that you take them in.
I say a good age where kids will start really truly remembering is about 7, 8 years old and up. 10 is I think the golden age. But before that, no. I mean, when I see all these people spending so much money and trying to do all these travels with their kids, I think it's great. But if you really want them to be immersed and experience the experience that you're experiencing, I think 7 and up is an ideal age. That's just my experience.
Doing my research of this topic, there's actually studies that have shown that even at toddler age creates an emotional connection.
Okay.
So maybe they don't remember, but there is an emotional connection to that trip.
I can see
to
that.
that travel.
I believe that.
I think that's pretty interesting, even as a toddler.
Yeah, I mean, imagine they wake up and sleep in the same spot. So if you're waking up in a foreign hotel and place in different languages, I'm sure their brain is absorbing all of these different things.
Yeah.
So I agree. I can see that. I can.
Yeah, so don't make it stressful, so that way their emotional connection is not stressed when it comes to travel. Okay, so last but not least, theme parks are the only way to travel with families.
No, absolutely not. I
agree with you on that.
I think everywhere in the world you should be traveling with your children.
Yeah, 100%. I think even though it was in an RV, and I think that's the last time I'll do that, but I think, believe it or not, that road trip with the kids was phenomenal.
One day I feel secure enough to share those videos with you guys.
Well, I think we should do an episode just on RV road tripping, things you need to know.
I'm just happy I didn't end up on Dateline ID. I was very stressed on that trip.
She obviously had the different experience because I thought it was great. We bonded, with the kids. It was like really,
it was wonderful.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week with children.
It's not a vacation. You're cleaning the RV, the dust, the cooking, the smell.
The RV portion of it, but the road trip portion of it, of like just the adventure of going on the road is what I'm focused on. I'm not talking about like.
Are we talking about stress?
Yeah, you
Right,
see, I'm stressed even talking about it. But yes, probably bad example. But yes, go to national parks, go do road trips with them, go to cultural cities like Italy, like Rome, like
Japan, South America, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Do it.
I think
do it.
It's not just Mickey Mouse and Universal Studios. So
there you go.
I totally agree with you on that one. So I think our quick travel tip. Is there any stats you got there in your notes?
No, I don't have any stats.
You don't have any stats. Okay,
you have the better notes.
But I'll take care of this. I'll take care of this one. So. So a few travel tips that we have for you guys, especially for families, is book direct flights when possible.
Always, but not just with families. I think that's a great, unless you have lots of time for a layover, you should always book direct. And one of the reasons why with family, if you're with a large group, imagine you have a delay, and this has happened to me many, many years ago. We were with a large group flying to Ireland. Our connecting flight was delayed. We missed our connecting flight to Shannon Airport. and we had to now fly into Dublin, but we were staying on the other side of Ireland, and I was with a 6-month-old. So you don't want those connecting flights, and if you do, you really want to space them out. I know it sucks to have an extra couple hours left over in an airport, but you also want that time to be able to have that leeway of being able to get on the next plane if you were to be delayed. So I think that's going to help huge when it comes to stress and large families.
100%. And on that note, pre-book popular destinations and travel insurance. Those are two tips. Especially travel insurance. I think that to me it's not a lot of money, and it's a whole lot of headaches eliminated.
So you can do, if you're a family that's like us that travels all the time, you can actually get a yearly plan for travel insurance. However, you can do just for your trip. So it starts the day that you buy it. So anything were to arise before your trip, you can get all of your money back depending on the coverage that you get. A lot of times I've had suggested like travel insurance to families, and they'll tell me, oh, but I have an American Express, or I have this, and or I have insurance that does international. However, a lot of it does not cover injuries or hospitalization or lost luggage, delayed flights. So if it's an extra $200 on your $20,000 trip that you just spent, I don't understand why you wouldn't want. It's just a good investment to get all your money back, especially if you're traveling with a large family. Yeah. So I do highly suggest.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And then lastly, I think, pick a destination that's walkable, has walkable downtowns. Even though I think that tip is great if you're going to go to these cultural cities, but if you're going to go, to, let's say, these excursion destinations, which we'll talk about in segment 4, but it's good to go to, again, if you're going to these cultural cities, go to a walkable downtown because it's stress relieving, right? Like if you have an older traveler with you, they're close to the hotel, or if the kids get tired, you're close to the hotel in the middle of the action. So it's not a stressful situation to get back to if you need to kind of, have the family relax, right?
So I do like to chime in. A lot of times I'll have families that are traveling and they're like, oh, I don't care to spend the money to be in the center of the town. I can go a little bit less right outside the outskirts, and I think that's great. You want to save money, but in the long run, you're not, because what's happening is that now you have to pay for transportation to get into the center of town, and especially places like Europe where they will not put more than 4 people in a cab. So if you are a family of 5, like we are, and traveling with more, now you're separating the family, especially if you have small children. It's not fun, and going into different cabs, and so if you're going to spend that money on transportation to get in and out of town, it doesn't make any sense to just get and splurge and put that money towards a hotel that's in the center. Not to mention, let's say you have small children and one of them gets tired. One parent can go really quickly back to the room. We have elderly people traveling. They can just walk right back to the hotel and rest, and they don't have to jump into a cab and or a train or anything to get out of town for that hotel. So I do suggest that when you're traveling with family.
So there you go. There you go, everyone. We have busted those myths of traveling with family. If you guys love what you're seeing, please follow, like, comment, subscribe, do everything humanly possible.
But also, too, I would like to hear if you have a myth that maybe you would like to share that you believed when it comes to traveling. I would like to hear your myth.
100%.
So let's get some feedback.
There you go. There you go, audience engager.
You like that?
I love it.
It's all about you guys.
So that's segment 1. Thank you, everyone.